Core 2021 spoilers are supposed to officially start tomorrow, but it looks like Santa brought us a little present! Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. We have some juicy 2021 spoilers to talk about now. A little disclaimer, as it were. These aren't official spoilers, so this is information that's cropped up. It seems very credible to me. However, I cannot definitively state for a fact that these cards will be in 2021. There is the possibility of them being fakes, but it does seem very, very likely that they're real. So we're going to take a look. There's some reprints and a new card as well. We're going to start out with Massacre Worm, and what I'm doing is I'm going to put up a regular version of the card alongside these because they're blurry, you know what I mean? So it's not really easy to see what the card is, so that you're able to read the card on the screen and understand what's going on. Massacre Worm is the first one we're talking about here. 3 black and 3 mana for a 6/5 worm. When it enters the battlefield, creatures your opponents control get -2/-2 until end of turn, and whenever a creature an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, that player loses 2 life. This is a crazy, beefy mythic that actually goes back to the new Phyrexia world, right? So, I mean, dude, what you get here, think about this. This is going to go crazily in mono black devotion style decks if it's fast enough. I mean, it's got 3 black mana in the mana symbol, in the casting cost, I should say. So that's nice and beefy. The fact that it can just do crazy one-sided board wipes is intense, or just shrink down your opponent's creatures. And the last ability is really the most punishing part of it, where whenever a creature that is owned by one of your opponents hits the graveyard, they lose 2 life. It's not even damage, it's loss of life. That can't be prevented. So this is a beefcake mythic. Now, in terms of breaking down the art and really getting into it, we can do that when this is officially spoiled as a card. I don't know if what we're looking at is like a special showcase edition, a regular edition. It's not sure. It's not obvious 100% where these cards are coming from. Is this like a collector's edition? Is this some other special product that Wizards has made? I don't know. I honestly don't know how people manage to get their hands on product early. I remember when it came to Theros, we had this weird scenario where people were like, I just happened to find these on the wall at Walgreens. So I don't know what's going on, but it has the hallmarks of a crazy leak. I mean, like the Massacre Worm artwork, it looks believable, right? The whole card, when you look at it together, it does look believable. It has the extended borders and everything. Like, this looks like a legitimate Magic card, but at the same time, it is super blurry, right? Like, it is not easy to actually parse out what the card is there. Now, we also have Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Now, this is going to make people pretty hyped, dude. This is a card people absolutely love. And funnily enough, there's actually a promo that's been released by the Judge Academy to coincide with this that also happens to do with Ugin. But anyways, Ugin the Spirit Dragon is 8 mana for a 7 loyalty planeswalker. It gets +2 loyalty to activate when you use the ability that says it deals 3 damage to any target, which is pretty beefy for a loyalty increasing ability, but also you do have to pay 8 mana to put Ugin out. So it's understandable why that ability is what it is. And it actually acts like a Ghostfire, because Ghostfire is a burn spell that is colorless that does 3 damage to any target. So his first ability is literally Ghostfire. His second ability is -X, exile each permanent with converted mana cost X or less that's 1 or more colors. So this can be a massive board wipe effect. I mean, you can drop Ugin right away, and if you wanted to, you could do -7, which would get rid of every permanent on the board that costs 7 or less that's 1 or more colors. So the only thing it's really not going to affect are non-colored artifacts, and like even technically this could affect lands if there was some way to turn your opponent's lands into colored cards. But overall, this is a pretty solid ability. And then the ultimate is -10. You gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, then put up to 7 permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. So this is an attempt to kind of somewhat mirror Nicol Bolas. Like, there's a Nicol Bolas that does essentially almost the opposite of this. So we're looking at a scenario where they were like, okay, Ugin and Bolas are brothers. Why don't we give this sort of like reflective and a kind of twisted mirror concept to them? And I like that, honestly. This is a really cool include, and I will be stoked to go ahead and slap that fat daddy into my big green mono deck, right? Because this is a planeswalker that's not aligned to any particular colors and is big juice. Everything we're going to talk about today are all like exciting mythic cards. It's just 4 mythic cards. Now the next one we're going to talk about is one that I'm actually really surprised to see reprinted, but it doesn't feel like it was a bad choice. It just feels very surprising, and that is Baneslayer Angel. I had never expected them to bring the Baneslayer Angel back, really. I mean, this when it came out, you got to understand that Baneslayer Angel originally came out in, what was it? 2009. So we're looking at something that's like 11 years old here, right? That's the scenario. And when it came out, this card actually was the mythic that really, in my opinion, all right? I mean, there may be something else that did this for other people, but in my opinion, this was the card, Baneslayer Angel was the card that cemented the concept that mythic rares weren't just going to be big, flashy, crazy, dumb rares, because that was originally how they were sold to us in terms of the concept. We were told that we were told that mythic rares would be like big Timmy style rares that felt really great and were really impressive on reading, but wouldn't be like efficient tournament level cards. And of course that changed. So Baneslayer was the one for me that made me go, okay, this is like, sure, you go, whoa, when you read it, but this card's just really powerful. It's 2 white and 3 for a 5/5 flying angel with first strike, lifelink, protection from demons and from dragons. And the flavor text says, some angels protect the meek and innocent, others seek out and smite evil wherever it lurks. Now this card, honestly, is absolutely fantastic from a flavor perspective. The idea of it having protection from demons and dragons is so cool. And that was something you didn't see back then, right? Like, remember, this is, again, over a decade ago. You didn't tend to see very many cards at all that would have protection. But it's just like, instead of giving it protection from red and black, which would make sense for a white card, instead they gave it protection from demons, representing black, and protection from dragons, representing red. And that ability actually was relevant. This card was a huge momentum engine when it came to just stealing games out from people. Like, this could completely flip a game around. The 5/5 body made it extremely difficult to deal with. And this is the first mythic that actually hit the $50 mark. Now, bear in mind, I'm going by Canadian prices, so it might not have hit that much depending on where you live. You know, if you're in America, maybe it didn't hit $50. But this was the first $50 mythic, and I remember being floored at how high the price of a card in a standard set could go. Like, I was genuinely blown away by how expensive Baneslayer Angel was. And the artwork, oh my god, the artwork is so beautiful on this card. I love Baneslayer Angel so much. I love gorgeous angels. She looks so beautiful, but she's also incredibly powerful. And that's a fantastic combination. So to see this included is definitely exciting. Now, the final card we're going to talk about, again, is another mythic. Now, this is a brand new Chandra, which is funny because we got a bunch of Chandras. I mean, unless for some reason I'm mistaken, I don't believe there's ever been a card called Chandra Heart of Fire, right? Like, this seems like it's new, unless this is some weird corner case planeswalker I've never heard of, which would be rare, as I have heard of most cards. I feel like this is new. I couldn't really find it. Like, I couldn't find any other copies of this card kicking around. So, Chandra Heart of Fire, 3 colorless and 2 red, or 3 generic and 2 red. I'm old school, so I call that stuff colorless. Anyways, +1, discard your hand, exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play cards exiled this way until end of turn. And this is along the lines of what red does now, where it has its kind of weird side card drawing abilities that aren't really card drawing abilities, but like function as pseudo card drawing to give red somewhat of a way of replenishing itself because red is a run out of gas color. So it's got 2 +1 loyalty abilities. The first one is the discarding your hand to exile 3 cards from your library, which is a huge cost, admittedly, if you have a bunch of cards in your hand, but is irrelevant if your hand is empty. The second ability is +1, Chandra, Heart of Fire, deals 2 damage to any target, and -9, search your graveyard and library for any amount of instant and or sorcery spells, exile them, shuffle your library, you may cast any of them this turn, add 6 red to your mana pool. And it's with a starting loyalty of 5. So, to get to Ultimate, you are going to need to activate one of the loyalty increasing abilities 4 times. That is a steep hill to climb. And the Ultimate does require that you actually have instants and sorceries in your graveyard, enough of them to make it worthwhile. The fact that you can discard your hand and exile top cards of your exile cards off of your deck, and if you can manage to play them, they're going to end up in your graveyard. That's pretty good. I think it's solid that they didn't make it so that the exiled cards all automatically go to the graveyard. That might be like feeding too much into the graveyard overall. I wish that we had a better version of the artwork. It just kind of looks like Chandra's like reaching out with the flame. She's like the one of the hardest to make out, in all honesty. But hey, it's still interesting to talk about. So, those are the cards that have been spoiled, my friends. We will see. Again, remember, this isn't 100% confirmed by Wizards, so while these do absolutely feel like real well, I mean, 3 of them are actual reprints, so there's no worries there. This all feels genuine to me. So I was willing to make this video, but I do want to make sure you understand that it's not absolutely guaranteed that this information is accurate. So thanks for coming by, everybody. If you like what I do here, this channel is community funded, so go ahead and jump on the Patreon if you want to support what I'm doing. Thanks for coming by. I will see you all very soon.